So I have just come back from about 3 steps away from my new piano at home and an online course instead of with a piano tutor. I decided that it was a little bit too hard with the kids to go out to a tutor each week, and it's actually a lot more cost prohibitive than I thought to go to a private tutor for an entire year instead of pay for an online course that's yearly. The problem was always going to be, is there something that is of sufficient quality? And now that I've had some private lessons, I think the answer is a definitive yes. Because there's so much material out there these days, it's more about having the discipline to practice than having the one-on-one time with a tutor. Plus, when I get to the stage where I'm refining my technique, the course that I have offers feedback for videos, submissions. The one that I landed on was based on the Russian School of Piano, Russian Piano Academy or something like that, I think it's called, because the main founder, I guess you could say, seems to really focus on the fundamentals and having good technique from the start instead of trying to engage students so that they keep paying, which is a common theme that I see with the private tutors. They don't really care so much about your fundamentals, they care about keeping you engaged so you keep coming back. That's a big problem for me, because I have the discipline to do it myself. I'm not doing the lessons just so that I can have the motivation to continue, which I think a lot of people will struggle with, and that's why they go to a private tutor, because it keeps them accountable. So I've learned a lot just from the first sort of video tutorial that I didn't learn with a private tutor, about having proper technique and posture and relaxed wrist movement and the shape that your hand should take, and about creating good sound as opposed to these are the notes on the keyboard, what sort of song do you want to learn? Okay, we'll practice that one. Here's some theory. Talk about the rest of your day, see you later. That's the kind of lesson, the normal lesson that you have with a private tutor tends to just be very formulaic and very structured, but not necessarily because that structure is a good way to learn, just because that's convenient for the instructor themselves, so they don't have to think. So yes, this holds me accountable in different ways, because it shows me from the very get-go how hard it is to have the correct attack when you're pressing a key, how hard it is to make sure that your arm is relaxed, how hard it is to ensure that you're thinking about the sound that you're creating instead of just mechanically, hitting it. So lots of things that I will continue to work on for the rest of my life, probably. Didn't get any real mention of them from private tutorage, except for try not to play really hard. Basically, it boiled down to, it's just the explanations themselves, because they're happening in real time, aren't as well articulated as in some of these courses videos, because the time wasn't spent preparing to orate such a lesson. It's just spontaneous, in the moment feedback. And I'm sure if I got enough of that over the years, I'd come to understand the same thing, but I just got this in like 5 minutes. So pretty happy with myself, as you can probably tell.